Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third episode of our Retro TNA podcast that we still haven't come up with a name for, but we're just going to call it the Retro TNA podcast. That's myself, and as always, I'm joined. Well, as always, for this section, I'm joined by Rhys. How you doing?
Yeah, what's up? I think just call it like it is. Just call a spade, isn't it? Just the TNA Retro podcast. So I don't know if you have any suggestions. Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear them.
Please do. Please let us know some suggestions. Obviously, we are able to do this because of our friends over at iMPACT using their brilliant streaming service, iMPACT Plus. If you haven't subscribed, go head over there and subscribe. They've got brilliant content on there. You can watch episodes of iMPACT like 2 days later to where they're uploaded, whereas with things like the WWE Network, it's about a month later to watch Raw and SmackDown. iMPACT are pretty quick with it. So I highly recommend subscribing to iMPACT Plus. And whilst you're doing this, I might as well get you to go onto your app store, whether it be Apple or Google Play, and download the We Love Sport app. Head over to Twitter as well and follow them on Twitter at We Love Sport UK. And they've got a website, welovesport.co. They've got the app is fantastic. You're able to track yourself and see how many bars in the UK are showing sports and that sort of stuff. Because it's not just wrestling, it's cricket, rugby, football, everything like that. You can go and watch, and it's all at your fingertips. And as we record this, a little bit pre-recorded, pubs are open, so they should be good to go soon. The other sponsor we've got is obviously 1310 Apparel. Head over to their website, 1310apparel.bighotel.com, to pick up yourself some brilliant wrestling merchandise. Use the code TWM25 for 25% off, and head over to Twitter as well to follow them there under 1310 Apparel, and it's 13 spelled out and 10 as in the number 10. So 1310, and they're fantastic products. But we'll jump straight into the July 15th 2005 episode of iMPACT. So it's the last iMPACT before the pay-per-view No Surrender. We start off the night with an interesting tag match. It is Team Canada, represented by Eric Young and P.T. Williams, going against Samoa Joe and the X Division champion Christopher Daniels. Obviously, Daniels and Pete Williams will be having a match at No Surrender. Joe has just arrived on the scene. He's obviously going to be in the X Division. This match slapped. It was brilliant because it's four incredible wrestlers. Halfway through the match, Chris Sabin comes out and takes out Samoa Joe. Why is there no disqualification there? Is what I ask. Because they brought
I don't know. I didn't even think of that as a disqualification.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure the referee saw it. They brought it back and disappeared. So it leaves Christopher Daniels in a 2-on-1 situation. And he does get pinned by P.T. Williams after P.T. hits the Canadian Destroyer on the Fallen Angel. So he picks up a pinfall victory prior to his X Division match at No Surrender. And it's, very, very good match.
Yeah, the commentators mentioned actually that I think Daniels had the chance to pick who was going to be his partner. And they thought... he thought who better than Samoa Joe to beat P.T. Williams up before their match at No Surrender. But then also, are they sowing the seeds for what's to come later in the year? Like, obviously, we know now how it goes and what happens, but are they starting to sow those seeds? Is it a case of keep your friends close, but your enemies closer?
Yeah, it's a fair point. Joe, obviously, we all know Joe does vie for that title for a bit and has incredible matches alongside Daniels. But it's a really, really good opening tag match, really fast paced between four of TNA's biggest stars, really, because they've all been there. We get
not all four biggest stars at this point, but at some point, it's all, I always find it weird going back and watching older shows because you feel like, oh, this is like such a star-studded card in hindsight, but like at the time, probably. They'd all be in like different places, different positions on the roster.
Yeah, it's funny looking back and you're like, oh my God, what did Joe become and what did Daniels become? And you're like, Eric Young was like the most unlikely person to become such a big person in TNA because his gimmicks he would give him were just not very good.
Sorry to cut you off there. Eric Young's gimmick at this point, do you know what it was? Like what it was based on?
It wasn't super... So this was before Super Eric and this was before Scared Eric. Which one was this one?
Oh, so this is just like Team Canada, but he's not fully Scared Eric just yet, but he's a bit like
Jumpy.
It's the early stages of Scared Eric.
Yeah.
But Scared Eric is the one that I'm referring to. apparently that was Abyss backstage. Like, that's what he's like. And they were like,
Oh, really?
Eric, can you just pretend to be like Abyss is?
That's amazing. That's so good. Someone Abyss's size and he's just terrified all the time. That's brilliant. We get a promo or an interview backstage by Cassidy Riley, who thanks Raven for what he did the week prior in saving him from Abyss. And Terry Taylor's like, Raven doesn't save anyone. He thinks of himself. He's very like, Raven is Raven. And Cassidy's like, no, we're friends. No, Raven, if you ever need me, I've got your back. So Cassidy's a little bit of a delusional guy. He's like, oh, yeah.
Almost like some kind of cult.
Funny. Yeah, it was funny. It was funny. We get a tag match between Simon Diamond and Triton going up against Apollo and Sonny Siaki. Obviously, this was like a tag match where you've got the one smaller guy and one ginormous guy, because Apollo's massive, Triton's massive. Yeah. Triton picks up the win with his version of the F5. I think it's called the T3.
T3, yeah.
Yeah, great marketing there. Just change a letter and change the number.
So this was actually Triton's last match. Like, you know,
we were
talking last week about what happened to him. So he went after this. He couldn't agree a new contract with TNA. He then went to sign it with WWE. He got sent to OVW, which was like their NXT at the time, but it was just some like indie show, like an indie. Started a Woodsman gimmick, feuded with the Boogeyman, had a love triangle with Beth Phoenix, and then got released. But he was also the OVW champion at one point as well. So, pretty interesting for him.
Insight into the small and short career of the very large Triton. He hits his version of the F5. Obviously, at this time it was Brock Lesnar's sort of ascent. 2005. No, this time it was 2005. He wasn't even in WWE, was he?
He'd gone. Yeah. But he was. What would he have been in the NFL at this point? I know he popped up in New Japan.
Yeah, it's either NFL or New Japan.
Like another year or two later.
Yeah, so it was a little possible homage or possible piss take of Brock Lesnar in his finisher. We get an in-ring segment with 3 Live Crew, which is at this point just Conan and Ron Killings, the future R-Truth. They come out, say about 3 words, and then Kit James, who at this point was going by the Outlaw, who we all know now as Billy Gunn, comes out with Monty Brown to attack both men from behind. And it's just an all-out brawl between the 4 men, and it's pulled apart because security come out and get them out of the ring and get them away from ringside and away from each other. And this does set up a tag match at the No Surrender pay-per-view between the 4 men. A great name in a wrestler is Shocker.
Yeah. I think, I don't know if he's still about now.
I'd never seen an image of him. I'd heard of his name, but I'd never seen what he looked like. Interesting choice. Bright blonde hair.
Do you know, I don't know if I just get mixed up between him and the Shockmaster.
Yeah, I reckon he might be. Shocker goes one-on-one with Sonjay Dutt. Obviously, Dutt at this point is like pre his peak as well, because obviously Dutt was a big name in the X Division in like late 2000s, and this is the time where we had Shark Boy as a big man, a big name, and Christopher Daniels was playing Curry Matt. Is Sonjay Dutt now part of WWE? Isn't he a backstage producer?
Yeah, he does something backstage, some kind of agent.
Yeah, unfortunately, Dutt did lose this match by a roll-up. It was a very, very quick sort of shock win for Shocker, because he looked shocked when he won. He was very, very surprised. He managed to get the win. We go backstage to a promo segment for James Mitchell and Abyss. It's James Mitchell talking about what Abyss is going to do to Raven at No Surrender, and Abyss just stands there and grunts and breathes. That's all he does, and does his thing with his hands. Because at this point, Abyss didn't speak. Abyss never spoke. James Mitchell did it for him, and he just let Abyss destroy people in the ring. We've got another promo again from Jerry Lynn, who speaks about his return to the ring, because at this point he hadn't been in the ring for 12 years. He hadn't been in the ring with Sean Waltman for 12 years. Sean Waltman for 12 years. He hadn't been in the ring for a significant amount of time. He'd been in the ring with AJ. It was been with Sean Waltman 12 years ago, and it was obviously this was his return to the ring to be the special guest referee at No Surrender. Interesting person to choose. because he has history with both men. And we've got our main event match, which is a tag team match between the other two members of Team Canada, Bobby Roode and A1, and Sean Waltman and the phenomenal AJ Styles. Another really, really good match. Like, Team Canada tag matches, I think, are very underrated.
Yeah, like when I was watching TNA at the time, like obviously I was a lot younger. I was probably like a bit more of a mark, so I'd always get really annoyed at Team Canada just for, you know, like being heels or whatever.
Yeah.
But I have been really, really surprised watching them. Even like, you know, the match earlier, Eric Young, I was like, wow, he's really good. Like, and at the time I never really rated him, but I guess obviously like now I know more about wrestling. I know how it all works. Like I can kind of see like what makes someone good. And yeah, Team Canada, like really, really kind of good. Like it makes you wonder if they just had like a bunch of young people who they thought we can make all of these guys stars. Let's put them in a stable together. Let's make them our top heels. And yeah, like look at what some of them have gone on to.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching this and thinking, I'd love to see Bobby Roode versus AJ Styles in the WWE. Like, that would be amazing. Like, because they had some good matches between the two of them in TNA. See, this is one of them. And it's like, just, I'd love to see that now. But it's a really, really well thought out match. It's, you know, it's the unlikely duo of Waltman and AJ, who actually work really well together against the real, like, old school heels in Roode and A1. Like, Roode's choking his opponent at any possible point, pulling him across the ropes and doing anything he can to get the advantage. Eventually, we get a hot tag to Roode and to Waltman. Waltman comes in like a house on fire. Like, he is smacking everyone with spin kicks. And I forget how good of a wrestler he actually is until you start watching even 2005 stuff. Like, Waltman is legit a very, very good wrestler. He goes to spin kick Roode. Roode ducks. And he hits AJ. Obviously, a bit of a miscommunication between the two men. Lariat from behind to the back of the head by Roode to X-Pac, or to Waltman, who is obviously stood there like really shocked. Oh, I just hit my partner. And Roode picks up the 3. AJ goes, you know, he's staggering around. He stands up, pulls Waltman back, little shove match, and then they just start brawling with each other after the match. And that's how TNA goes off air, because that was how TNA used to go off air. We're running out of time. Here's 2 men fighting in the ring. Camera cut. And we do finish off the show right at the end, and it's Raven sat on some stairs responding to James Mitchell's promo, just saying what he's going to do back to Abyss in the No Surrender dog collar match at No Surrender a few days after TNA went live. But yeah, that is a really short show. No, you know, it's 45-minute shows, and sometimes you can talk about it for 25 minutes. Sometimes we can talk about it for 10 minutes. Just it depends on what happens. And this was a very, very cut and paste show. It's piping everything up to No Surrender. It's putting a lot of focus on Sabin and Joe, Williams and Daniels, and AJ and Waltman.
Yeah, at this point, they were filming like 4 episodes of Impact at once. So like in a day, they'd film the month's worth before the pay-per-view. So like watching this, you can kind of tell it's towards the end. Like there's matches, but there's a lot of recaps of what's happened. There's a lot of segments and stuff. So like, you know, like your go-home show is normally the best show of the loop, which is the one hyping people up for the pay-per-view, the one that makes them want to buy it. But yeah, like for a go-home show, I think it was maybe lacking a little bit, but like it was, you know, still very enjoyable. Like I did really like it. What do you think?
Oh yeah, it was a really good show. Obviously, I agree with you that it's not as hyped as we are used to as wrestling fans when, you know, we get to now WWE or AEW or anything like that, and the way they do their go-home shows, and it's a lot of focus, a lot of like, you've got to watch this, you've got to see the show. Whereas Impact used to do it is they just did it for the whole run was just constant hype for that 4 weeks. Whereas with WWE or AEW, it's a little bit, and then it goes upwards. Whereas like TNA just constantly was going upwards.
Like at this point, I think everyone had already decided they were gonna buy the paper. Like if they hadn't bought the pay-per-view by this point, they weren't gonna buy it. So
yeah, and I mean, this did, and in small ways, it did a lot for the pay-per-view, because like Pete Williams pins Daniels. You're like, actually, hold on. Pete Williams could actually win the X Division title. I want to tune in to see if this actually does happen. AJ and Waltman break down. That's going to be a blood feud. You want to see what's going on there. And the 3 Live Crew and Monty and the Outlaw. Like,
Yeah.
it's very small things happen to put a lot of hype behind it.
And, anytime you put Raven and Abyss in the ring, like, that's going to be carnage.
Yep. And I think that was the reason why probably everyone bought this pay-per-view at the point was Abyss, thumbtacks, cool. Lots of hardcore. Let's watch. I'm going to like this. But yeah, we'll end the final Impact podcast review here because it was, like I say, it was a very cut and paste, very simple show. Don't forget to subscribe to us on everywhere you do get your podcast from. That's Stitcher, Spotify, TuneIn, Podcast, Podbean, everywhere like that. Subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at TWM Wrestle. The YouTube is The Wrestling Movement. Do head over as well to twitch.tv/TWM Wrestle and follow us on Twitch as well, as we do our Twitch streams every weekend, whether it's Saturday or Sunday, depends on how many people are available. You'll see us and we'll be talking about the topics of the week that's going on. Do also head over, like I said at the beginning, to We Love Sport UK and 1310 Apparel's Twitter pages. Drop them a follow. Go over to the App Store and download the We Love Sport app, and go over to 1310apparel.bigcartel.com to get yourself some lovely wrestling merchandise with TWM25 as your 25% off code. Rhys, what would you like to plug?
Just basically to echo everything you've just said, just go follow all of that. And if you're watching on YouTube, there's links to all of that in the description below as well. So just go and give it a click.
Give it a click. Follow myself on Twitter at George_Jill_. Follow Rhys on Twitter at
Rhys on Wrestling.
And also follow him on Twitch as well. Is it Rhys on Wrestling as well?
Yeah, same.
Follow him on Twitch. And we shall see you next week. I know, we won't. We'll see you on Sunday because...
Oh, yeah.